Hello, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me on another of my little rambling monocles. Monocles? Monologues. I could do with a monocle actually. I'd look quite good with a monocle, wouldn't I? With my one eye and everything. Anyway, that's not quite what I intended to say. I was sent an email yesterday by a very concerned viewer, and thank you very much if it's you. You'll probably identify yourself. To yourself, not to everybody else. And it was an interesting concept that I hadn't thought about. It was a warning, I suppose, a warning to be careful. And this particular individual, who I won't identify, and people can make up their own mind because I don't know for sure whether what she said was true or not, but it was lovely to receive the warning. She said, be careful with colloidal silver. It's not the saviour that a lot of people in the truth, freedom and health movement think it is. And I thought to myself, well, that's a bit of a worry then, because every now and again, if I'm feeling a bit low or I have an issue, I might use a bit of colloidal silver. In fact, I put a silver sovereign in one of the water jugs that I have when I'm filtering water. I also use a reverse osmosis machine, which I must tell you more about in another video, because it's such a great machine. You may be interested in getting one, but that's for another day. Anyway, she told me about this, and I thought, blimey, I've not heard about that. But I didn't know whether to take it seriously or not to take it seriously. And also, a few months ago now, a few other people had got on their high horse, and I don't mean that in a rude way and an insulting way, but they were very concerned that vitamin D, and they kept telling me, oh, you know, vitamin D is rat poison. And I did mention that in a video, and then a few other people had commented and said, oh, yes, I believe that. I think it is rat poison. I thought, it's interesting, isn't it? A vitamin D that we get from sunlight, the synthetic version that we need during the winter, is rat poison. And I thought, could that be true? Is that disingenuous? Is it just certain types, certain makes of vitamin D that they've got another substance in there that is not so beneficial to man and woman in this world? Is it the cheaper varieties, or is it indeed vitamin D in general? And therefore, should we not go out into the sunshine? And in this world that we're in, that we find ourselves in, you know, you open your mind up to all the sort of ills that are going on, and you do become a little vulnerable to all sorts of stuff. Now, some of it may be nonsense and some of it may be true. We don't know, because we start to become open-minded, and somebody tells you something and you go, oh my goodness, chuck that away. I was using that. I mean, there are some things that we can reason, I think, with more intellectual nonce, such as the sun has been out recently, hasn't it? And you see mothers and fathers, I suppose, sluthering, is that the right word? Slathering, thank you, Julia. Slathering their children in these various sun creams to protect themselves from the UV, or is it VU, whichever one it is, ultraviolet rays that have been coming down and sizzling children and giving them all sorts of issues, you know, the big C, whatever. And we do know that these things act in two different ways. One, they are a mask of sunshine, which what we all need, and unless it's, you know, extremely hot, the Mad Dogs and Englishmen and the midday sun type scenario, why would you go out there? But in general sunshine, we need those rays. We need the vitamin D again, don't we? And also, these creams contain not always natural chemicals, and those petrochemicals which are being absorbed by the skin, which is an incredibly absorbent encapsulation around our body that gets into our system and into our blood and potentially could cross the blood-brain barrier, may have metals, heavy metals in those things, and yet people have been trained, if you like, by pharmaceutical companies who make a nice big profit of slathering your children in this stuff and yourself. you're probably better off smothering yourself in coconut oil and sizzle away and get one of those lovely succulent brown bodies, a bit like a sausage. Anyway, Julia's laughing in the background there. So I wondered, it made me think, in this space that we're in, as you become open to concepts and ideas which normally you would have dismissed, are we looking for trouble everywhere? I mean, we kind of get a bit cynical about things, don't we? We know that whatever the government tropes out, probably the opposite is true. So if they tell you to take a certain medical intervention, we know now, and many other people who've actually already taken it have begun to realise, oh, actually, that wasn't such a good idea. We begin to know now that very much what the government says, or authority figures, or big corporations, or those who are making a large profit from it, probably what we're being told is not a sensible idea. So that's easy to sort of reckon with. But how about those people who are in the, I hate this term, the freedom, the truth, the open-minded, the critical thinkers, the common sense people, the you and I. Do we get a little bit now vulnerable because somebody comes up and says, oh, this that we all fought for millennia was very useful, colloidal silver, vitamin D, could be anything, methylene blue. I've heard all these sort of things being launched and go, no, that's it's no good for you. It's not good for you. And one could go into the reasons why perhaps that's not true, or perhaps challenge that notion. But are you somebody that is now looking for trouble? We sort of know what's going on. We know the dark forces, the people who want to manipulate us, the nasties, are doing their best to manipulate us. We understand that, and they've got a myriad of different methods to do that, and we know. But do we continually go looking for more? Do we go and search every dark corner with our little torch and go, is there anything lurking in there that I ought to know about? Or do we get to a point, which is what I sort of tend to favour now, is that we go, okay, we know that there's the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, the Freemasons and the various other lot who are very keen, some of them just to make money out of us, some of them want much more than that, and they have their weird practices and strange rituals which they may attribute to fallen angels, let's say, just for the sake of argument, without using nasty words. Do we keep looking for every damn little thing that they're up to? Or do we just turn around and go, well, we know what's going on. We know this. We know all of that. We have now an ability to use our common sense, to use our critical thinking to say what's being presented just is probably a load of old rubbish and shouldn't listen to it. But instead of continually looking for more trouble, should we just get on with our lives? Should we not focus on the things that really matter, the things that we want in our life? And I keep coming back now to more of a solutions-led thing than the, oh my God, look what just happened over there, which we may or may not believe, and it may or may not affect us. Should we just not think, okay, they're doing their thing. Let them get on with it. Because we're actually not going to accept it. We're going to ignore all of their nonsense. We're going to raise our vibrations. We're going to keep our lives joyous. We're going to thrive and concentrate on the things that we actually want from life. And maybe we take a little bit of colloidal silver or vitamin D or methylene blue or whatever these things that I've got questions on in small enough doses that it's not really killing us. Because let's face it, if colloidal silver, for example, was as bad as I was told it was, then all those people who take, how come they've not dropped down dead or died of some horrible agonizing disease? You've got to sort of look a bit rational about these things. Or millions of people have been taking vitamin D and they're not dropping down dead in the streets. They're more likely to be dropping down dead in the streets from something that the NHS has got behind, the government has mandated, and people have lined up and injected into their body. Whether that be the big global thing that happened in 2020 and the whatever, but even those the parents of children who are convinced that 3 letters of 3 different diseases put together, you know the ones I'm talking about, that they give these things and they fill them up with not just the so-called vaccines for those particular individual problems, but they probably shoved in a whole load of other stuff. And coincidentally, we know that the rise of autism is extremely high at the same sort of time that these 3-lettered, you know what I'm talking about, was going on. And the correlation between the two seems pretty much certain, although, of course, nobody in the NHS or the government are ever going to admit to that, because, of course, their strings are being pulled by these dark forces. So instead of worrying too much about that, for there are remedies for all these things. For every evil, there is a remedy. For every dark, light can shine in, and light, of course, is more powerful than dark. And so for every remedy, for every thingy, there is a remedy. Losing myself here in the pleasure of the smoke. So we should just get on with it, shouldn't we? And stop fretting and worrying and continually analysing and scaring ourselves and being overly concerned. Yeah, we've got a broad sense of concern. We've got a broad sense of what's going on in the world. But let us focus on the positive, on the joyous world around us, this amazing planet, realm, world, whatever you want to call it, the earth, life is, and our wonderful, incredible, sensational physical bodies that can do such incredible things with its disposable thumb. Sorry, imposable, what is it? Opposable. I oppose that thumb, but I won't dispose it. Should we not just, you know, the more that we can do that, in my mind, instead of scaring us and frightening us and keeping us down, is so much more beneficial. And I'm afraid to say I'm going to keep repeating this message because to me it's very important that we focus on the good, on the healthy, on the vibrant, on the life force that we have, and not just keep ourselves and limit ourselves and put ourselves into a box. Be wary, of course, be cautious, naturally, but don't let that hold you back. Don't tie yourself with the anchor of that fear so that you do not progress forward into the life that you want. The progression, your decision, not the progression that they want with 5G, 15-minute cities, geo-fenced in, unable to do things. Pardon? Digital things, Julius quickly writing the script, changing the teleprompter. A digital ID and all of that. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That's, as I said, a rambling monologue. But I hope somewhere in that, buried somewhere in that no one's taken too much offence from what I've said. And as I appreciate these emails where people are concerned, but I think the higher vibration will carry us through. Till next time, thank you for watching. Look after yourself, stay well and thrive.